Hello and welcome to another edition of Superhero Movie Review Time. I'm your host Grant Liston, a very bored Englishman. In 2017, the DCEU released its third movie, but its first female-led movie which didn't suck or was just downright embarrassing. Directed by Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman went on to gross over $821 million worldwide, and Rotten Tomatoes actually put it fourth in its best superhero movies ever list. So let's sit back and relax as I review Wonder Woman. So we start off with Diana, played by the beautiful Gal Gadot, and she receives the photograph from Batman vs Superman from Bruce Wayne, which gets her reminiscing. This movie is one long ass flashback. This is where we see a young Diana, and she's learning the art of war, and she wants to become the fiercest warrior on Themyscira. I said it first time, and now it's written the take. But one day after training, she sees an airplane crash land near her island. Chris Pine plays World War I pilot Steve Trevor, and he unwittingly brings the Germans to Themyscira. Twice. I've seen it twice. Where a small battle takes place on the beaches. Many Amazonians died that day, including Diana's aunt, Antony? Anne? This is where Steve tells Diana about the Great War and how the Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated. I say, take me out. Diana feels she needs to help Steve, so she breaks him out and they set sail for England. But before they go, she steals the God Killer weapon. The God Killer weapon is supposed to be this dirty great sword used to, kill gods. It's so obvious that she is the God Killer weapon, not the actual sword. The film's not exactly subtle about this. We now meet our villains, Dr. Poison, played by Eleanor Anayea, who is having the time of her life playing this role, and Danny Huston is playing General Ludendorff. Now, I have never seen a Danny Huston movie where I thought, I like him, he's good, I like his acting style, I like the characters he plays. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but every time I see him I just go, ugh, him. I'm not a fan, and so when I saw him as the villain of this film, I just sank and went, really? This guy? So their goal in this movie is to make gas. Why? Reasons, and the war! Steve and Diana then travel to London and get help from Professor Lupin and gather a band of crooks together to help win the war. Now, these are the parts I really like about this movie, because they show a proper grounded, serious, horrific nature of war back then. It's very, very grounded, and I like that. And yet, they introduce some silly comedy elements, but they feel so natural, and it's all got to go to Gal Gadot's almost perfect acting. She really, really does draw you in with her performance of this fish-out-of-water hilarity, and it's done so much better than when it was done in Thor. This brings us to the trench scene. It is amazing. Honestly, it is just phenomenal. The pace, the music, the slow motion, the grit, you feel every bullet. There's some lovely bits where dirt starts splattering up against the camera. You feel every step she takes into no man's land, repelling and reflecting all these bullets with her bracelets. It almost makes you forget about the boner you've got over her outfit. It is just beautiful to watch. And here lies the problem now for me, because as soon as that trench scene is done, the film's over for me. The rest of the film feels so flat and uninteresting after such a big crescendo of this scene. It's fantastic, it's so memorable, it's what a superhero movie should give to you. But as soon as it's over, I couldn't care less about the rest of the movie. They save this small village and it shows you where they take the photograph from. It's a very nice little callback. And admittedly, the interaction between Chris Pine and Gal Gadot is just sizzling. It's amazing to watch. But then they do this whole breaking into General Ludendorff's party, and the whole film just becomes laughable. There's a point where Gal Gadot saunters into the room, drawing every eye, as she should, and she's got a dirty great sword stuck down the back of her dress, and like, no one even batters an eyelid. Hey, you crazy broad, is that a sword you got there?
Oh heavens no, it's a lady product.
Also, very weirdly, she enters this party and goes straight towards General Ludendorff. She has no idea what he looks like. They've never met, she's never seen a photo, yet she guns straight for him. What if she found the wrong guy? They then have the all is lost moment because General Ludendorff releases his poisonous gas on the small village they save. Diana then blames Steve because he stopped her from killing Ludendorff, who she believes is Ares. Oh shit, yeah, the whole Ares thing. Back it up a little bit. Her religion basically says that if she kills Ares, she stops the war. Yeah. Her whole premise of this thing, everyone else is fighting this great war, she's targeting one person, the god of war, who may or may not exist. We now come to the thrilling conclusion of this film. Diana kills Ludendorff. Yeah, straight off the bat. Kills Ludendorff. And the war doesn't end. And now originally I thought, this is brilliant. This could be like a simple but powerful message on how politics or religion, maybe even violence in general, like maybe there is another answer to peace. You know, she's had her whole life built up for this one moment to kill the god of war. She's killed the god of war and nothing's changed. You know, maybe it is just people that are bad, and that message is a great message. That's not the message that this film gives us. Basically, that wasn't Ares. That was just some German nutjob. And of course, Ares then shows up. It's fucking Professor Lupin. Yeah. The moustache twiddling Bond villain of the noughties. Yeah. He's Ares. Now see, I like the disguise. I like the whole, this is, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger on steroids, killing machine god of war, disguised as a school teacher. It's great. No one will suspect that. You know, it's clever. It's smart. I like that. And the whole, he's infiltrated and manipulated politics to breed more war. Brilliant. You know, I couldn't think of anything better. But when he transforms from Professor Lupin to the killing machine that is, he's still got Nigel Thornberry face. And it's really hard to take him seriously. I'm just waiting for him to go, smashing. It's just so off-putting. And then they start fighting. And it just gets even worse because they go full Dragon Ball and like, shit's way too CGI and like people are flying and like they're building makeshift swords out of basically the ground around them. And I'm like, this is wank. It's way too much overcompensating for such a grounded middle of a film. Steve Rogers then of course turns up and sacrifices himself by exploding a plane. Did I say Steve Rogers? I meant Steve Trevor. Sounds very similar though, doesn't it? The whole feel of that story there, very, very familiar. Oh god, sorry. It gets worse as well. These are actual lines of dialogue from that final battle. Wonder Woman, I believe in love. Ares, then I will destroy you! It's like they gave up. Literally. And so, ipso facto, Wonder Woman kills Ares. And it brings you back. Well, hang on now she's killed the god of war, will war stop? But we have no time to dwell on that question at all, or any ramifications, because that clearly doesn't work, because obviously World War II, Vietnam, Cold War, all these other wars then sprung up through the years. So clearly killing the god of war didn't work. But we've got no time to dwell on that because we're now back in the present day where Diana vows that she'll protect the world with love. And that was Wonder Woman. I liked it. I've seen worse. But now on to my 3 good and 3 bad, starting with number 3. The first half an hour of this film is very, very boring. I'm trying so hard not to compare this film to Thor, because Marvel and DC are two separate entities, and it's not like Thor was incredibly original, and you know what, a lot of people don't even like it. I think it's alright. I think Wonder Woman's alright. When Thor was in Asgard, you saw him have a bit of back and forth with his brother, with Heimdall, with his close group of friends, and you saw that the people loved him and knew him and respected him. Like, they had this whole like grand aura around Asgard. It was gorgeous. And then he fights the frost giants on a thrilling adventure, and then his world gets turned upside down and has to go live with the humans. I'm not saying Wonder Woman needs to follow that, but it wouldn't hurt for her to, you know, interact with other people other than, you know, her mother and her auntie, who play the exact same person, the stern parent. It's a bit boring. Why not go a different route? Why not have one girl in her class who is a better fighter than her, but hates her because she's the princess? And so they can have this whole, like, you know, Macho Man Mean Girls thing, where like a group of the girls just don't like her, and so she's like the Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer outcast, and so she's trying to prove herself time and time again, but she can never beat her rival. And then when we get that battle on the beach, it's her rival who dies. Different stakes, because although they are rivals, they're all part of the same tribe, and they're all this part of the main family. You know, I get they were trying to do like the fiercest warrior was her auntie and who trained her. I get the whole mentor death thing. You know, no one can help themselves in a superhero movie. There's always a sacrificial Uncle Ben out there. But maybe they could have done something a bit more better than that. My second problem with this film is the last half hour. As I've just previously stated, I didn't like the CGI. I didn't like the fighting. I didn't like any of it really, like the Steve Trevor reenactment of Steve Rogers. The whole Ludendorff thing just got completely swept under the carpet because he was just some guy. Even Dr. Poison's ending wasn't great. Like, her mask gets blown away and you see she's got like a bit of scarring underneath. Well, yeah, we assume so. Only weirdos like Kylo Ren wear a mask when he's got nothing underneath. And I feel that they had this great idea for a movie and either run out of ideas or studio told them that's how the film ends, because it's a very jarringly different film from what we get from the rest of it. And the number one thing I just don't like about this movie is the Ares twist. I tried so hard not to say the Ares twist is number two, because obviously it's my number one thing, but how much more powerful would that film have been if he wasn't in the movie? Or better still, he wasn't in it until the last second, building up an ongoing, overarching villain of a trilogy. Maybe she just comes to the idea of, maybe there isn't an Ares. Wink wink, there is, but now she's let her guard down, which could lead up to something a bit more rich. But no, we got Professor Lupin. Surprise! Absolutely not a fan. I groaned when I saw that. Oh, just awful. That being said, we are now moving on to the three things I really liked about this movie, starting with number 3, Chris Pine. I love him in anything he's been in, and this is no exception. He brings a real energy and fun to this role, and when he's serious, he's urgent and he's sincere. But when he's being goofy, he's really, really charming. Like, he puts on this German accent, and it's just a great scene. You know, him banding with his brothers in arms, though, the chief, the Scot, and the foreign guy. Yeah, I honestly have no idea of any of their names because I didn't care about them. But the back and forth he had with them was so natural that I reckon they had a great laugh on set. At number 2. This was a tough one because I really wanted to put this number 1, but after having a serious think about it, at number 2 is the trench scene. I know I raved about it earlier, but something about it I have to be reasonable with, because in terms of how good it was, it's 10 out of 10, but it didn't really change the story or affect it as much as it should have, especially as soon as it was over, the film was done for me. It's kind of in the same category as Darth Vader in Rogue One. That hallway scene is insanely good. Do I like Rogue One? Absolutely not. But that's for another film. So, a good moment, a good scene, a good line does not make a good film. What makes a good film is, at number one, Gal Gadot, the leading lady. Absolutely phenomenal. I could actually buy the fact that she was a fish out of water, and her naivety, but her strength. There's so many complex emotions layer after layer, and she just gave such a great character performance, in my opinion. Couldn't get enough of it. That being said, I'm going to give this film a healthy 6 out of 10. Without the trench scene, it'd be a 5, so I'll give it that one. Very enjoyable. I'd highly recommend it to anyone not really into the over-the-top superhero stuff, but not for the villains. The villains were pretty pants. So, thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and as always, leave me those dirty comments. And I'll see you all next time. Take care now.